Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video I wanted to talk about the faction talents for the Chains of Eternity Season 3 because most of the different factions other than basically Maulers are going to work in a similar way, meaning that the buff tile is going to be on the back row. So here are all of them. For example, we have Wilders fielded here. This is the first buff tile which is going to appear, which is like normal. I'm assuming then the second buff tile is going to appear in the rearmost tile over here, but no one has kind of progressed far enough to basically unlock that. Now I'm going to show you for the Graveborns. For the Graveborns, it is going to be the same as well. The back tile is going to be the buff tile. Then we're going to take a look at the Lightbearers. Lightbearer heroes are going to be, let's go ahead and field these ones. Again, the buff tile is going to be on the back row. And Hypogean Celestial also are going to have their buff tile on the back row. Now, the reason I'm going through this is because Mauler heroes do not have their buff tile on the back row. Instead, they have it on the front tile. And depending on the arrangement of the map, it can be in different places, but basically it is going to be near the front. Which is interesting because like the Mauler buff tile for this season, if we take a look now at the faction talents, it is like synergizing with like melee heroes or frontline heroes pretty much. Which is kind of cool. And like the reason why actually this is important is because if, for example, like someone's running, let's say, Rainier on defense, right? So a lot of times people would have Rainier in front of the buff tile, and then it will force the opponent to either just not play anything on the buff tile or get debuffed by the Rainier. Now they have another option. You can just run Mauler, for example, Mauler faction talents, and not put any hero on that back tile, and then the enemy Rainier is not going to get any value. So that is kind of like the interesting thing. So just to recap the faction talents, the Mauler faction talents 4 seconds into a battle, the Prime Carrier will mark the enemy that has dealt the most cumulative damage as the prey. The Prime Carrier then teleports next to their prey, knocking them down while dealing high damage, physical damage to them. This strike also knocks back enemies within one tile of the prey by 1 tile. The Prime Carrier takes 40% less damage from attacks by their prey. So this is the effect, and like, I mean, this is good for like melee heroes, assassin type heroes like Seth, even Soren potentially, even like heroes like Lailah, who will be maybe in the front line at the beginning. And so it makes sense that this is in the front line, because basically it's not an instant teleport, it's a 4-second late teleport. Which is kind of the different factor, but eventually they are going to begin targeting the backline enemy. And now to look at the stage 3 faction talent, this is when Maulers become crazy, because it increases all allies attack by 15% and the haste by 30 for 15 seconds whenever Prime Carrier's prey is defeated. So the whole concept behind the Maulers are going to be nuking assassin type comps in order to kill the prey and provide this buff to the allies, because this is a very strong ally buff, but you will only activate it after getting a kill onto the prey, which is going to be the difficult and kind of tricky part. So definitely like Maulers are overall a lot weaker this season, because it is a delayed teleportation, number 1, and then number 2, you don't really get value until you kill that prey. And if, for example, the prey is like a Talene, you're never actually, I don't think, gonna get value, because it will never really count as you defeating the Talene. So that is kind of the thing. There are ways of countering this. And when we take a look, like the damage reduction only from the enemy prey, I mean, it can be interesting because, like, especially if the opponent has like a hyper carry diagonal who is going to be marked as the prey, then you're going to be taking reduced damage from that hero, and the other heroes on the team hardly contribute any damage. So basically, you're getting massive damage reduction. But the thing is, I don't like these other upgrades. For example, increasing life drain of your Prime Carrier. Like, life drain is a very, in my opinion, it's just a stat which doesn't bring that much value to the table, because like you could just have a healer that heals you rather than needing the life drain. Basically, I love penetration, more offensive stats. Life drain is just kind of like a sustained stat, doesn't increase your kill potential or anything like that. Yeah, but I think the other idea is when you're looking at some of these other upgrades, you're gonna maybe just want to put like your Bruiser over there, like a Brutus on the tile or a Shakir on the tile, because this deals damage to adjacent enemies each time the Prime Carrier takes a cumulative amount of damage. So you basically want to have it on a hero that is taking a lot of damage or that is tankier. Like maybe, for example, like melee nukers, like maybe even anyone who, like, maybe even Sonya could be a pretty good use of this tile, actually, yeah, because then you can have two of your other heroes being buffed, and then you have your Sonya who can, like, teleport into the enemy team. This is going to provide them damage reduction, hopefully, so Sonya can cast her ultimate, making the stat buffs permanent onto her allies and giving them the damage reduction. So definitely they're going to be different comps using this, mainly because of the Mauler faction tile being in a different position, and also countering opponents who know, are trying to Rainier swap onto your buff tile. You can counter that, and that is going to make Rainier a bit weaker in this season as compared to last season. In Supreme Arena, Rainier was super dominant because no one wants to give up on their buff tile slot, so they're just going to put a hero there and let them get debuffed by the Rainier. But the other thing is, it also gives a buff to their other ally, because if the opponent position swaps their ally, they also get that damage reduction if they have a plus 10 exclusive equipment of Rainier. So you're actually giving the opponent a lot of value by letting them Rainier swap. So that is kind of going to make Rainier less effective on defense this season for Supreme Arena, because even if there's just one faction talent that has this effect, you can't really reliably run Rainier on defense, because then the opponent will just say, okay, I'll bring a Mauler team into here and I'm easily going to clear it. So then you can't say Rainier is really strong on defense anymore, because there is a counter to him. Kind of like how Frontline Spell was counterable with Maulers, yeah, in the Waves of Intrigue season, when Frontline Spell is on defense. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the other faction talents. So Wilder is the one which I'm really the most excited about, apart from Hypogean Celestial. But come on, Hypogean Celestial every season is always really strong. It's cool when the main faction talent is strong. But actually, let's take a look at Graveborn, because Graveborn is the one which is the most interesting, but I just don't know how practical it's actually going to be. Because when the battle starts, seizes the soul of the rearmost non-summon enemy for the prime carrier, instantly causing them to lose 45% HP up to a percentage of the prime carrier's attack. Basically, a massive HP instantly causing the enemy to lose this much HP, like just a drain, and sealing 6% of the enemy's attacks, so reducing their damage. Over the next 15 seconds, the enemy gradually recovers, restoring their lost health, and eventually regaining the stolen attack. So the idea with this is, if you want to take advantage of this, you need to have nukers who are gonna like fire on this tile, like either Sylvina, even Bonnie onto that hero as well. Basically, you want to kill that hero ASAP. I think Sylvina Bonnie could actually work pretty well, and then you're just you're going to kill that opponent, and you're gonna snowball from that point. That is basically the strategy. And allows the prime carrier to deal 18% more damage to the enemy whose soul they have seized until the enemy fully reclaims their soul. So again, Sylvina on your buff tile, she's going to be dealing that bonus damage onto that enemy. This can be a good counter. However, there are going to be counters to it, like Talene on a rearmost tile. How are you going to deal with that? Like, that is the worst hero you want to be targeting with this effect. And so Talene on rearmost tile is going to be a pretty optimal defense to run. And the other thing is, like, you might be thinking, well, this is good against Diurnal. The problem is Diurnal has charms in this season that will make him like invincible once he drops below 30% health, and so that is also a problem. Like, so that is also being counteracting. So that is basically going to be the issue here. And then this soul explosion dealing bonus damage, but everything is good if you can get a kill. The problem is, if they have a setup which is not going to allow you to get that quick kill, then you just recover the health, and that basically your effect of the faction tile has been wasted. When seizing, the prime carrier gains a shield equal to 100%. So basically just making your prime carrier tankier, which is good. Yeah, 25% damage boost. So it's all going to be about Sylvina. It could even be about something like Velka, depending on how she's going to work. And definitely Bonnie as well. Bonnie is a really strong PvP hero, and she's going to fit in this Graveborn comp if you try to run it. So definitely I'm planning something with Bonnie for Graveborn. I think that will be a viable PvP strategy for this season. But like I mentioned, it is counterable, and the opponent just has to run a Talene in the back, and then I don't know how you're going to deal with them. Because also, by the way, Talene in the back counters Bonnie too. Because like each time Taylene dies and resurrects herself, she cleanses the debuffs off of herself. So that debuff from Bonnie is going to disappear. So that is, and then has to be reapplied. So that's kind of the thing. There is counterability with the Graveborn tile. So even though it looks really good, I do not feel like it's actually going to be a top tier meta defense. And just like the same way Rainier is not going to be as top tier meta anymore on defense because of the fact that Maulers are just going to be able to avoid the Rainier debuff or in swap. Okay, let's move on to the other ones. So Lightbearers I was the most intrigued about, and this was the first one I ever looked at when we were covering the faction talents for the first time. Because you summon Hogan, and he has stuns, he has high tankiness, he has high damage output. He kind of just reminds me of like a mini Scarlita. He's going to tank for your team as well. But the problem is this is still a problem. Lightbearer heroes are just lackluster. Like, there are not enough good Lightbearer heroes for PvP. The top options really are Sonya, Vala, which are not, in my opinion, considered the best PvP heroes out there. I consider them more around A tier because of the fact that they're counterable if you're playing them on defense, and Sonya is easily killable before she can cast her ultimate. So definitely I think there are going to be some decent teams built around this, but for the faction talent, like for the AFK stage, I think this is probably not going to actually work. I thought maybe Hogan would be good, but the thing is, it's not enough value. Like I think the major ones are again going to be Wilders, Maulers, and Hypogean Celestial, because those are the heroes which are good at AFK stage pushing. The only reason Lightbearers were used in Razor Intrigue season was before the double Tossie ultimate, and we don't have that this season, and so it's not going to be nearly as effective. So I think Lightbearers for PvP going to be lackluster, for AFK stages going to be lackluster, because they're just missing key heroes for both of these game modes. Lightbearers need to become stronger. But Maulers are still going to be good for AFK stages, even though this faction talent, like the tile, doesn't really help you. You use Smoky, Coco, OD type combos a lot for AFK stage pushing. So upgrading this tree just for the stats is going to be valuable for you. And Hypogean Celestial, okay, so now we'll come to Wilders and Hypogean Celestial. So let's go to Wilders. So Wilders is looking the best for PvP. In my opinion, apart from Hypogean Celestial, that's also looking top tier for PvP. But the Wilders allows the Prime Carrier to enter the concealed state when a battle starts. While concealed, the Prime Carrier becomes invincible and deals increased damage with non-ultimate skills lasting for 8 seconds. And this will go up to, I think, to 12 seconds or over 10 seconds each time a non-summoned ally is defeated. The concealed state duration is reduced by 3 seconds. So each time a non-summoned ally is defeated. So the thing about this effect is that you're going to want to have the two heroes on these concealed tiles. They can be whatever. They can be their nukers, the carriers, but your other three team members need to be not easy to kill, or they need to crowd control the enemy. So I'm definitely thinking Iron, control the enemy, immobilize them, buy time for your carriers on the concealed tiles to deal their damage. That is going to be a good combo, or just really, really tanky. Like maybe Granny is going to see some use. I don't know. Maybe Granny is going to make some debut. I hope so, because on my main account I have Granny, like I think a Paragon 2 right now, and I haven't like made any good use of her. But yeah, I think this is gonna be the thing. You do not want your allies to die, and that because then that will shorten the duration of your concealed state. And look at this damage boost. Like when you think about a Lily May on this tile with Rainstorm Ballet dealing that boosted damage, that's gonna be crazy. Or even any other hero. Could even be Lenya. So basically, these Wilder tiles are looking really good this season. Allows the Prime Carrier to enter concealed state for 4 seconds after assisting. Yeah, you can refresh and prolong the duration after getting assist or defeat. And I've even seen people running Harak on this tile because he's concealed at the beginning of the battle. That protects him for long enough to get going, get some kills, and then he's going to be a menace, right? So Harak with the Wilders is going to be strong. Basically, any carry with the Wilders is going to be strong. Even potentially, like, honestly, even Diona. Because like you're gonna use Lailah in the Diona comp, you could use like something else, some other Wilder heroes, and make him work. Like Lailah, Parissa, both of them would buff the Diona. So that is maybe a interesting strategy. Allows the Prime Carrier attacks to trigger special effects. This is the crazy thing. This is the stage 3 upgrade. Their attacks will deal an extra true damage and stun enemy, but it can only be triggered once every 4 seconds on each Prime Carrier. And the thing is, I think this is your normal attacks. And you can get a lot of value off of this if you're attacking multiple enemies. But the problem is normally you're like locked onto one target. You keep normally attacking them. But imagine if you had some hero that had like like bouncing normal attacks or something like that, then this can get a lot of value with the stuns and true damage. So Wilders are looking really good. Like, even if the Wilder heroes generally are not the top tier in PvP, you're definitely going to see at least maybe 1 or 2 Wilder defenses in Supreme Arena out of your set of 3, just to get the advantage of these buff tiles. And then you're going to have like your carriers on them, either Harak or pretty much anything. Tassi is probably going to see use again, and she's actually a Wilder hero, so it would actually work pretty well for that. Okay, moving on to Hypogean. So Wilders I'm a big fan of. Maulers, I am not a fan of their effects, but just because of how strong Mauler heroes are in general, I know it is still going to be strong. So what I'm predicting is Wilders and Maulers are going to be the top of the main faction talents. I think Graveborn is just counterable in PvP, even though it's really interesting, and it seems like there's a way you can make it work. I think it's mainly going to be an offense strategy. On defense, you just counter with a Tailin in the back, pretty much. Okay, so we have the Hypogean Celestial. So when a battle starts, grants the prime carrier the Oracle's Blessing, restores their energy by 320. So like this for Diagonal is going to be great. It will allow him to cast his ultimate really quickly at the beginning of the match. After allies cast a total of 4 ultimates, grants the prime carrier with Divine Power, increasing their attack by 10% and maximum HP by 20%. The other thing to keep in mind, all the buffs you're seeing from all of these faction talents, they're going to be affected by, for PvP, they're going to be affected by the Inspiration, Intimidation, and it is going to basically amplify the Paragon difference. So if you are a Paragon 2 or attacking a Paragon 4, once they get more value from buffs from their faction talents, they're going to become even stronger compared to you. Because I'm assuming these buffs are also going to be benefited by that Inspiration and Intimidation. So it's basically, this is energy gain and a buff after 4 ultimate casts. Apart from that, you have just some minor skill upgrades. And then when a battle begins, restores 100 energy to all allies who are placed within 1 tile of the prime carrier during the battle preparation. And this can be good. So like definitely, like if you're talking about Elijah, Lailah, when they come out, because you know, you can sometimes just have one of your heroes. But the thing is, oh, wow, I didn't realize this, but Elijah and Lailah are not going to work really well with the buff tiles, because your buff tiles are usually in a back line, like basically in the back row, right? And Elijah, Lailah to link to an ally, they need to be in a straight line to gain the full value. And they won't be able to be in a straight line. They won't be able to link to your prime carriers on the back. Like, you could have Elijah and Lailah both on that backline row, but then you can't put anyone in between them. And if you have one of your other carriers on that back tile, then Elijah and Lailah are not going to be able to like link and chain right through you. And so that is kind of, honestly, that's kind of the drawback of Elijah and Lailah. Like, the positioning is going to be really awkward to make them work and effective. That is going to reduce their effectiveness in PvP quite substantially. I never even really thought about it, but yeah, basically you're going to want to use their buff onto the hero who is not on the back tile, right? Otherwise, it's not going to be great. It just won't work. When a battle starts, and restore 100 energy to all allies who are placed within 1 tile. Okay, fine. And then we have increase the damage of the prime carrier's first ultimate by 25%. Like, I mean, this is looking like Diagonal. It's looking a little bit like Tailin as well. Tailin, Diagonal, getting that first ultimate damage, and getting that energy recovery at the beginning of the match. That is pretty deadly. And then when a battle starts, restores, okay, a boost to the energy for the nearby. Grants the prime carrier chaotic power. When they cast their first ultimate, triggers a dark explosion in a 2-tile area with the most enemies dealing damage and causing the... This is really strong, right? And this is going to be both of your prime carriers when they cast their first ultimate. So it's going to be a race to the first ultimate. You're going to deal this bonus damage, drain the energy, or cause them to lose energy, 200 energy to the grouped up enemy team. And both of your prime carriers are going to be triggering this effect. So definitely, if you're going to go for something like this, you're going to want to have both of your... Like, for example, in the previous season, Waves of Intrigue, we had Scarlita sometimes on the Hypogean Celestial buff tile. I don't think you're going to want that anymore. Now you're going to want to have 2 heroes who are going to be able to cast their ultimate as quickly as possible, like within 5 or 10 seconds of the match, and then just boom. Deny all the energy of the opponent and deal this bonus nuking and burst damage. So yeah, Hypogean Celestial going to look great. Also going to be great for AFK stages and PvP. Wilder, I think, also looking great for PvP. Probably top tier for PvP, honestly. And also pretty good for AFK stages, definitely. And then third is going to be Maulers for AFK stages. And again, well, not again. Actually, this season, Lightbearer, Graveborn are looking worse. I think the only way they're going to see any use is maybe for the I honestly don't even think for Primal Lord they're going to be good. I think Hogan, summoning Hogan is kind of like a gimmick. It's really fun and it's going to be cool to see it, but like realistically speaking, it's just entertainment value. I don't think it's actually that useful. And then you have this Graveborn. This is, I don't know, like the thing is for Primal Lord, it's going to be capped at a percentage of your attack. And the only reason, like, well, I guess it wasn't the only reason, but one of the major reasons Graveborn was so strong in Waves of Intrigue for Primal Lord is the fact that you gain like bonus stats onto your prime carriers equal to a percentage of the sacrifice stats. But I mean, this damage boost, right? 25% more damage to the enemy who have the soul seize. Like if you have 2 hardening damage dealers on the back line, and you seize the soul of the boss in Primal Lord, 25% boosted damage onto both of them. Not bad, right? Could be maybe usable. However, I think that, I don't know. Honestly, looking at all of the talents, nothing really screams great for Primal Lord. It could honestly be Graveborn. The thing is, it's just not good enough Graveborn heroes, but Doran is not bad. He increases the damage you deal to the enemy, and then you can just fit in like other heroes. Okay, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think Maulers are good too, though. The prey. Making them the prey. But, the thing is, you don't deal boosted damage to the prey, right? You just take reduced damage from the prey, so there's more of a defensive effect. I think it might be Wilders, honestly, because this bonus damage, apart from ultimate damage, and if you have it on your key damage carriers like Lily, May, Odie in the back, or whoever your key damage carrier is going to be, maybe even Harak. I think this is going to be pretty crazy. I think Wilders might be the one for Primal Lord. But anyway, guys, you can share your thoughts with me in the comment section. Let me know if I missed anything or if there are any other key ideas you have. But thank you all for watching, guys. And if you want to join my AFK Journey Discord server and ask me more questions or talk to me more, you can join it. There will be a link in the description of this video and all of my YouTube videos. There's also a link on my channel page, and I reply very frequently on Discord, so if there's any specific question you want, you can definitely go and ask me there. But thanks for watching, guys. Thank you to Now for letting us use his account from Vietnam server 2, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.